Hello, hello. Hey guys, I'm kind of in a thing where I'm doing some book reviews and reading through some stuff and some information I think is beautiful and wonderful and might be helpful for you. And so as you travel on this journey with me, I figured maybe I'd share some of this information. So hey, here's this book called Bursting the Bubbles of Government Deception. And this was one of the first books that I ever read and got into that really helped me see maybe there's something to this whole uh, sovereign movement. Robert Arthur Menard was one of the freemen on the land, and he was kind of one of the OGs as far as it comes to getting this information out there. In fact, if you look up this uh, book, the title of this book, Bursting the Bubbles of Government Deception, you can find a lecture by Robert Arthur Menard. And he shares his experience and what he went through, and then also all the information. And so here's again some information, the copyright information, and and here we go. So if you guys want to check out this disclaimer, you can go ahead and pause it. But for the most part, you have to decide for yourself. I think this is the biggest point: deciding for yourself what is true instead of having someone tell you. You are responsible for your use or misuse of this information. So I don't if I need to say this is for educational purpose only, not intended for this, that, and the other. So don't come at me with any legal anything. We'll get started right into it. When a well-packaged web of lies has been gradually sold to the masses over generations, the truth will seem utterly preposterous, and its speaker a raving lunatic. Society is not a prison, and you are not my warden. This goes into basically his story. And if you guys want to read it, feel free to. You can totally pause it and read through it. But essentially, his child was taken home and went through the system from foster home to foster home, and essentially, the government took her baby or his baby, and so then he goes on to challenge and find out why this is happening. And so we can start right here. We are told that we live in a free society. There's no greater test of freedom than being able to leave. In order to understand this idea better, we need to know that some of their words and definitions. First off, a society is a group of people joined together by mutual consent to deliberate, determine, and act for a common goal. Notice how there is no mention of geographical area. Being in a certain geographical area might give you the right to join a society. However, it cannot create an obligation to join. You see that mutual consent part. Pay attention to it. It will become very important. And as he goes through this, he starts to break down things. So let's stay with it. Now, what is a statute? Is statute law? The answer is yes and no. It is not the law, but it is a rule which has the force of law within a society. Statutes are the laws of a society. Outside of society, they have no effect at all. He says, I look at society as a house party, not a prison. At this party, there is food, there is music. We have a system which is set up, which is supposed to determine what music is played and what food is served. This system is supposed to be democratic in nature, where the majority decides. Now, if you don't like the food, music, rules of the house, or the system designed to determine those things, you're perfectly free to leave. Is this true? This is true. Maybe in the house, in society, you can't smoke or own a gun. But does this mean you can't do those things once you leave? Of course not. If you are no longer in the house, the rules no longer apply to you. These statutes, which the government calls laws, are the laws of the society or the house. Leave society and these rules no longer are your laws. Those remaining behind will still have to obey them, but you will not, of course. You will not be able to eat the food or listen to the music or collect benefits either. These are privileges. The simple fact is if this is a free society, then we have the right to leave. If we do not have that right, it is neither free nor is it a society. If our society was a house party, this is what we would see. At the food table, they are serving scraps and crumbs, while we hear them in the back kitchen whooping it up with their supplier friends, their bankers, and the music is either a military march or a polka. The waiters, government workers, are acting more and more like prison guards. There are mirrors everywhere, not enough seats, and more than enough smoke. The door leading out of this party has been very well hidden and hasn't been open for a long time. They might even have welded it shut. If we are a free society, then every once in a while someone must leave, and this will ensure that people know that they are free to do so. Someone must guard the door and ensure it opens easily. This will also allow those remaining in the house to see what it is like outside without venturing forth themselves. If they decide it is better outside, then they too are free to leave. I intend to leave society. I am not moving physically either. As a human being born in this country, I have a common law right to travel anywhere within it. I also have the right to join or not join societies as I see fit. I cannot be forced to consent. If I refuse to consent, none of the statutes everyone calls laws will have the force of law within me. I am leaving this party not because I reject society, but because I wish to embrace it. I want a good one that is as free as can be. I reject the way in which this society deliberates, determines, and acts for the common goal. I'm not even sure that we all have a common goal anymore. Those we elect provide us with food and music are not doing their jobs. The servants are getting uppity and actually think that they are in charge. They stole my family and did so unlawfully. The RCMP refused to investigate them, and elected representatives are not doing their jobs. I am sick and tired of the rules of this house, the meager proportions, and the blaring music. I will open this door, this long closed door, stand on the other side, and wave at you. I will do things lawfully that you cannot do, for you are still in the house. And he goes on to talk about this kind of thing, and expresses himself in this way. If you want to, you can go ahead and pause and read this for yourself. We're going to go into the first bubble of government deception. Okay, here's a maximum: fictions arise from the law, and not law from fictions. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to believe. Speaking the truth in times of universal deceit is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Bubble 1. Man or fiction? Do you know what you are? Are you a person? Are you a person? Are you sure? So you think you are a person. Well, according to Black's Law Dictionary, a human being is not a person because he's a human being, but because rights and duties have been ascribed to him. Specifically, the person is the legal subject or substance of rights and duties, of which rights and duties are attributes. The person is the legal, which rights and duties are attributes. We'll go ahead and, does that do that? Nope, that is exactly not what I wanted to do. How do I highlight this? Highlight? There we go. But not every human being is a person, as was in the case of Old English when there were slaves. You see, drink. You as a human being have certain unalienable rights. Your person has certain inalienable civil rights. Believe it or not, you are not the only one paying taxes. Excuse me, you are not the one paying taxes. How about that? You're not the one who's paying taxes. Your person is. Well, there you go. It is not you who votes. Your person does. You guys seeing this? You do not get a ticket. Your person gets a ticket. And you can't argue the public debt because it's all about the public debt. The best way to imagine it is to imagine a human being wearing a coat. The human being is a man or human being or a natural person. The coat represents the legal person. The two together are referred to as an individual, an indivisible duo. If you can understand that so far, you can understand the next as well. You may have many persons, but they all have the same name. They all have the same name, but have different personalities or functions. See, when a person is not determined solely by the name, but by the rights and duties ascribed to that person. When you get a traffic ticket, it is almost as if they're creating a person right there solely to deal with that issue. Once dealt with, the person is no longer bound by it. Say you go to vote, and on the way you get a ticket. Can the person who got the ticket vote? Can you show them the ticket and use that to secure your right to vote? No, you cannot. The two entities, although having the same name, have different sets of rights and duties. You guys see this? You see how we're that dualistic nature, right? That dualism that exists within us, and that most of us are not aware of, and therefore are in fact different persons, or at least different facets of one. Now ask yourself, where does it say that you have to have a person? And this is, again, this is not something that you guys have to go too crazy about, but the idea is like that you see that there's a difference between you having a person in you being a man or woman, a living man or woman. Are you obliged to have a person? If you do have one, can you give it up? Why have they gone through so much trouble to hide us from us the fact that they act upon our persons, and then our flesh and blood pays the collateral for the person? Why is that? Why is that? Why do they hide that from us? The simple reason is this, guys. They need us to be ignorant for their deception to work. And this is the exact reason why I'm going through this book and giving you information, because I think it's important. And a lot of times I would just take this information and try to like chisel it down, but I figure we're just gonna read it, and that way you guys get, the content. Maybe you're on a drive or somewhere else, and maybe it's helpful. Okay, so without ignorance, all the deception in the world won't help them hold onto their power. They need ignorance, guys. They need us to continue to be ignorant. The person exists not so that they can have power over us, but so that we can escape power if the power they claim, but so we can escape the power they claim if it gets too onerous. It's a big word. If all they act upon is our person, then we can disassociate from that thing anytime we want. We can be in control. So it's not that the person's a bad thing, guys. Some people say, oh, they're controlling us through this, that, and the other. No, they're not. It's not really how it is. We got to stop taking the negative in everything, guys. We have to start seeing with clearer eyes and clearer sight, and see that everything that even appears to be negative can work for our good if we understand it, if we gain understanding. If we don't have understanding, and if we're in ignorance, then yeah, it can definitely be a cause for growth or suffering, depending on how you look at it. If we are never aware that it is there, we are slaves. There you go. That which you will be is entirely up to you. You see, I think I will go into the child registration one. Also, that's kind of a thickie. Maybe not. Hey guys, if you want to read this book by yourself, all you got to do is go check this UCC, Bursting the Bubbles of Government Deception by Arthur Menard. You can try and look up the PDF. Hopefully they still have it somewhere. If not, maybe I can email it to you. But please look before. Please do the work and look before you email me. There are a bunch of different bubbles of government deception, and it talks about the rule of law. It talks about accepted for value. It talks about peace officers and LEOs. It talks about contracts and agreements, the PPSA, the debts, etc., etc. And so violation tickets and the Bills of Exchange Act. So super, super, super important to get some of this information. But I really want to make these videos short and concise for you guys, so that way you can read them, and maybe you're on a break or you're doing something else, and you have the time to check these out. But yeah, so the next bubble we'll go into is the child registration bubble. Again, this is Bursting the Bubbles of Government Deception by Robert Arthur Menard, and it is one of the first books that I read where I was like, oh, this makes sense. This really makes sense. He's very logical, very rational, very reasonable. If you guys check him out, Bursting the Bubbles of Government Deception on YouTube, you can even find a lecture where he goes over all of this stuff in a little bit different way, different form, but it's about a 55-minute lecture video. And it's very, very cool. So do with the information what you will. Take everything at not at face value, but check within yourself. And yeah, with that being said, much love. I hope to see you guys on that next one. We'll be doing a video series where we do talk more about this stuff, because I think that this stuff is very important. So much love. We will see you guys on that next video. Let me know in the comments if you guys enjoy this stuff. If you don't want me to talk about this, I won't, but I just figured I feel like it's good information, and I wanna share it. So much love.